Hey everybody, emboldened by my recent, what appears to be about to be a successful repair attempt on that Brown and Sharp counting micrometer, I decided I'm going to take a stab at seeing whether or not I can figure out what's wrong with this VIZ micrometer that's made in Poland. This is a comparator or an indicating micrometer. I'm waiting for the glue to dry on the plastic collar that was cracked on the Brown and Sharp. So while I've got a little bit of time to kill, Sunday morning I expect to be called up for breakfast while I'm in the middle of this. But for right now, I think I'll take a stab at this thing. This micrometer I bought for, I think, 10 bucks, and bought it for 10 bucks because it's got an issue. The good news is the thimbal's not frozen like on a lot of the other micrometers that I've had to deal with. The bad news is that when you push on the anvil here, this doesn't do anything. This knob doesn't want to turn at all. Okay. Before I do anything, I'm going to gently, ever so gently, attempt to turn this knob. Attempt to break it free. Okay. That wasn't that difficult to break that free. That's the good news. Let's see. Oh, that just unscrews? What the heck we got going on there? Alright, so maybe this isn't a knob at all. Maybe this is a cap. Alright, so let's take out these screws. See whether or not this whole assembly will come out. I'm going to need my jeweler's screwdriver set because they're smaller than that. There's some crud in the slots of these screw heads, so try not to strip them out, so I want to make sure that the screwdriver is fitting well, because as I suspected, they don't want to move. Unfortunately, I think these suckers are seized in there. That one's coming out. Ow. Rust on the threads of that screw by the looks of it. Wow, those screws look bad. Alright, I'm just one or two ways this could be working here. I figured either by taking these 3 screws out, this whole plate would come out and take this top part of this whole assembly with it. If that were the case, then I should be able to pull up on this. Yep, there we go. So I was right about that. So those do not move at all. They're not supposed to. They apparently can be adjusted, and judging by the scratch marks on there, they have been adjusted periodically, but the actual indicating needle's way over here. So it's not even, let's see, could I see that? Yeah, I didn't even notice it, but it's right there. It's right there. Okay. So when this anvil moves back and forth, it moves this piece right here. Or is it this one? Okay. There we go. So if I move this, the needle moves. All right, so I'd venture to guess that all of the problems actually are up inside here. So I'm going to try and take this cap off. I tried to take this off originally when I looked at this with the micrometer wrench, and there was no way it was going to come off. So I just wrapped it with a...
breakfast is ready.
Okay. I just wrapped it with a cloth to protect it and used the channel locks on it to get this undone. Oh, boy, that's extra crunchy and crispy. Wow. All right. Now, I guess we would use the wrench if I hadn't. I kind of did a number. See the pin's bent on this wrench now because I tried taking the cap off with it that day. But the wrench is supposed to be used on this. That's seized in there by the feel of it. Ah, there we go. Moving. Just... I was gonna say I just broke the pin off, but the pin just fell out of the of the wrench. Duh. That was brutal. And actually, this is not unscrewing the way I think it's supposed to. I think this piece is supposed to stay behind, and this is supposed to come out of this. Oh well. Holy crap. Why did that just fly out of there like a bullet? Is that spring loaded? Where did that tension come from? Oh man, was there a spring in there? What the hell? We may have just had a spring go flying. I'll have to check after breakfast. Well, I took a quick look over to the left of the bench over here, and I can't find a spring. So, I mean, that's the only thing I can think would account for that thing flying out violently when I unscrewed it. So, I'm going to have to do a more in-depth search over in that direction somewhere on the floor, I guess, in the hope and a prayer that I'll actually be able to find it. I unscrewed the thimble all the way here, and there's it's not, boy, I tell you, it's sticky, whatever this substance is that's on here. So I'm going to take that apart probably and clean it. But the reason why I unscrewed this thimble all the way was I got an old gauge block, and I stuck it in here and clamped down on it, and discovered that if I apply a little bit of pressure, not too much obviously because I don't want to get hog wild and damage anything, but the needle moves. But notice it doesn't go back. So I think we're dealing with, this is just all gummed up. And I think that this needs to be cleaned so these parts move freely in here. And then I think we're going to have to find that screw. So what I'm wondering is, this does not appear to be a solid piece that goes all the way through here. So the anvil right here appears to be pushing, ends right here, and appears to be pushing on this black piece right here. And then this black piece is doing something behind here that we can't see. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little face off. Be real careful not to bend the needle here. I don't want to mess with taking the needle off. Actually, I really can't, because there's two set screws right there that hold this part onto the stem. And I can't even get to them with the mechanism in there. So I think the needle's not supposed to be removed until after this mechanism is removed from the body of the micrometer, which is done through these screws here, but I can't access one of them because of the face. The dial face here is in the way. So that's what's making me think this is supposed to come out first. This little standoff. And let's see. Okay, so now I can get a little bit better look at the anatomy of what's going on here. So when we push on this, what is happening here? What does this do? Figured out that the way this works is that normally this pin right here, the anvil, because of the spring that is now missing that I'm going to have to find or replace, would have tension pushing it out in this direction. When you want to open the jaws to put it around the test piece that you're checking, you would push this button, and pushing this button moves this rod over, actuates this lever. This lever pushes on this pin, which is tapered, and would push this anvil back in that direction. But because it's stuck in there, it's not moving. So what I want to do now is I want to remove this mechanism here, because if I get this mechanism out, I think I can actually remove that anvil and clean that all inside there and reassemble it. So now that I've got the face, dial face off, I can actually get to the screws that hold this whole assembly in here. Alright, so for starters, I think we're going to remove these 3 screws. Some delicate parts in here. I don't really want to slip, cause a catastrophe. So let's start those 2 screws. And then here's the 3rd one. And what I was just trying to figure out is I was trying to figure out if those 3 screws I took out are all that's required to remove this assembly from the body here, and it's looking like something else is holding it. Also looks like there's a shim or something underneath there. Washer maybe? Having trouble with what looks to be maybe this pin right here. Taking the pivot screw out for this little lever right here, because this little pivot screw appears to be the last thing holding this back axis plate on. I'm just going to leave that spring attached for now, but this washer is getting ready to fall out, so I'm going to take this washer out. This washer, that washer was underneath this screw hole location. Just loosening this screw to see whether or not this plate will lift up then. It does. Alright. I got a feeling, so these 2 screws are probably going to go all the way through into the body of the micrometer. I was going to try and avoid taking this out if I could, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. So this is going to have to be preloaded this way when it's reinserted to mesh with this rack gear. Good luck doing that. There's a tiny pin right there on this arm that goes underneath there, underneath this whole bracket right here, and there's like a little spring piece of metal. Alright, now with all of that out, I don't even need to remove this plate, but if I wanted to, I think it would come out now. I think it slides down over these pins right here. Right here, these 2 pins I think are locating pins, and might be a 3rd one there. Actually, that almost seems like the end of a screw that I don't see the head of, so maybe that is underneath here. I do see some swarf in there. A piece right there. Boy, it's amazing how tight that still is. I think it just broke free. Well, it moved. Yep, moved and stopped again. Yep. Let's get back to this later.